What is it that lives in the body that history never spoke about out loud? That's the question we carry into every episode. Hello, my soul family. I am Afi G. Come right in. Welcome back to I Am Afi G, What We Carry. In our last episode, we went into the body. We talked about how the deepest wounds live not in the mind, but in the nervous system, laid down before words and inherited through physiology. Today, though, I want to go into the two relationships where that installation most often begins, the two most primal templates any of us will ever carry. I'd ask if you can guess what those might be, but the title of this episode already gives it away. Our first experience of mother and our first experience of father. Now, hear me carefully. When I say mother and father today, I am not only talking about two specific people, I am talking about two principles. I'm talking about two energies, two forces that every human being needs in some form in order to become what so many of us refer to as whole. You may have received them from your biological parents. You may have received them from the people who raised you. You may have received one and not the other, and you may have had to become one or both for yourself. But every one of us carries a relationship, healed or wounded, present or absent, to the mother principle and the father principle. And here's the truth that will guide everything I say today in this episode. These wounds are lineage wounds wearing a parent's face. I'll say it again. These wounds are lineage wounds wearing a parent's face. Hold that thought with me. We'll come back to it later. Let's begin with the mother. The mother wound. In my understanding, when we talk about the mother wound, it's fundamentally about the heart, about whether we learned to embody a balanced heart. It is what teaches us to feel centered. But most importantly, the mother principle teaches us safety. A healthy mother principle is one that knows healthy boundaries. It knows how to give, and it knows how to receive. And just as important, it knows how to recognize when it is giving far more than it is receiving, and it does not abandon itself in the process. Someone raised in a healthy mother principle is someone who is not afraid to love and not afraid to be loved. Those are two different capacities, and many of us have one without the other. Some of us can pour out love endlessly, but cannot let it end. Some of us long to be loved, but cannot risk offering it. And equally as important, a healthy mother principle shows up as a person who knows how to love themselves. This for me is fundamental. So when the mother wound is present, when that principle was fractured somewhere in the line, what do we see? We see people who do not feel safe in their own being, people who cannot find their center, who are always lightly ready for the ball to drop. These are individuals who are braced for danger, always slightly unheld. People who give and give and give but cannot receive, or people who cannot love themselves, who treat themselves with a harshness they would never aim at another soul. Does this sound familiar? This is the mother wound. not a bad mother. I need you to hear this distinction. I did not say a bad mother. I said the mother wound as a principle, a fracture in the principle of safety, center, and love. One that very often did not begin with your mother at all. This is key. Now, let's briefly speak about the father principle. If the mother principle is our center, our safety, our heart, then what does the father principle represent? The father principle is our axis, our sense of direction in life, our footing, the internal structure that says, I know where I stand and I know where I am going. I can speak to this one personally. I grew up in a single parent home. My mother raised me. And because of that, I missed out on some fundamental aspects of what it means to have a stable, healthy paternal figure present in the everyday. Now, here's the fullness of it, both sides of the same coin. On one side, I was blessed with a strong and yes, overprotective mother who always made sure I stayed on track. I do not take that for granted. She was mighty. But on the other side of that same coin, the inner child in me longed for paternal masculine guidance. It longed for a father's reassurance, for that particular sense of safety that comes from a healthy father presence, the kind that says, without even using words, I've got you. You're going to be okay. I'm showing you how to stand. That's the axis. Let me paint you a picture of what it looks like when someone carries an unhealthy father wound. Picture a man, grown, capable, successful even, who still cannot make a decision without a knot of dread in his stomach. Every crossroads feels like standing in fog with no compass. He second guesses everything. He looks to bosses, to partners, to anyone with a strong voice to tell him which way to go, because he never had someone stand beside him and say, son, here's how you find your own direction. Here's how you trust your footing. Or picture a woman who is drawn again and again to unavailable men, to authority figures, to people who withhold, chasing a reassurance she never received, trying to earn from a stranger the words her father never said. I see you. I am proud of you. You are enough. That is the father wound. Not always a cruel father, sometimes simply an absent one, sometimes a present body with an absent presence, a fracture in the principle of axis, direction, and reassurance. The mother wound can leave us unable to feel safe. The father wound can leave us unable to feel sure. And a great many of us are carrying both at once. Here is something I want you to understand because it explains so much of what people cannot make sense of in themselves, at least in my personal and professional experience. These two wounds do not sit in separate rooms. They talk to each other. They shape each other. When you did not feel safe, that's the mother wound. And you also did not feel sure, that's the father wound. You become someone who is bracing and lost at the same time. Someone who cannot rest and cannot find direction. Someone who craves love but does not trust it. Who wants guidance but cannot receive it. Do you hear me? And often, we spend our adult lives trying to get one parent's principle to heal the other's absence. How so? By trying to make a partner be the safety our mother principle never gave, and the direction our father principle never modeled. And no single human being can carry all of that. So the relationship strains, and we don't understand why. It's because we are asking a person to heal a lineage. Now, in order to continue with this part of the conversation, I must convey a reality most people are not ready to listen. Are you ready? When it comes to working through the mother wound and father wounds, the road almost always tends to bend toward blaming and vilifying the parents. Trust me, I know this firsthand because I did it myself. We vilified the parent who we felt hurt by. And I understand why. The hurt is real. But hear me out. We cannot condemn our parents for what they failed to do without first doing our very best to understand the facts of their history and what shaped them. There are several reasons for this. First, if we are fixed on prosecuting our parents' behavior while lacking any real information about their formation, their own childhood, the things that shaped their character, the culture they grew up in and marinated in, then the truth is our assessment of them is entirely about us. It is not the full picture. And I want to be very clear. This is not to mitigate. This is not to dismiss, not to ignore the things that hurt you. That's not what I'm doing here. The things that traumatize you. We're not here to dismiss, minimize, or mitigate those things. We're not here to erase or ignore or push aside the experiences that impacted you in ways that are sometimes too painful to even remember. I'm not asking you to excuse anything. I am asking you to widen the lens. Because here's the deeper truth. We can choose to sever all ties and communication with our parents if we so chose, right? Whether we are speaking of biological parents, adoptive parents, or the ones who raised us. That is something that sometimes is a necessary act of protection. And I honor it. But even if we sever every tie, even if we shut down all forms of communication, we can never, ever erase the history that runs through our DNA. And that history has a story. It carries unspoken experiences, but it also carries something else. It carries ancient wisdom. It carries healing, sacred medicine. And when that medicine is correctly activated, we begin our journey into breaking ancestral chains and elevating our vibration. Let's take a deep breath on that note. As we come to an end of today's episode, I want you to consider a possibility. And I want you to sit with it gently. Consider that the experiences you had with your parents, the experiences that marked you, that shaped you, that wounded you, were not only your own. Consider that they were also your parents' experiences, and their parents, and their parents' parents. Consider that the wound repeated itself generation after generation and arrived in your lifetime so that you could be the one bold enough, brave enough, awake enough to finally break the shame. Listen carefully. You were not chosen by the wound to suffer. You were chosen by the lineage to heal. Are you listening? This latter statement I offer it to those of you who oftentimes find themselves asking, why is this happening to me? You were chosen by your lineage to heal. Okay, my soul family, before we really conclude here, I want to share with you a couple of things. There will be a shadow work retreat this year here in California. I am still gathering all the details and logistics, but I wanted to let you know so that if you are interested in joining us this year, you can make sure to put your name on the list. This year's retreat will only be open for 10 to 12 people who truly want to transform. I have also changed the structure of this year's retreat. In the past, we have done the 3-day retreats. And though I must say every single year that experience has been, oh my, it's been magical. At the end, I always find myself having wanted to do or share more. But the reality is, there's only so much that can be done in 3 days. So this year, it will be a hybrid retreat where we meet online on a weekly basis for a full month. And during that month, we break through thick ancestral layers. We meet weekly online gatherings, and then on the weekend of the 4th week, we come together in person for 3 days. In this manner, this feels richer to me and less compacted. It definitely offers more room to unpack and the possibility to go deeper. So, if interested in more details, email your name to info@coachafig.com. That is info@coachafig.com. I will also put this information down in the description box. Make sure to mention your interest in this year's Shadow Work Retreat, which will most probably start mid-October. So I hope you join us. Okay. Keep in mind what I am about to say with regards to the mother and father wound. Naming these wounds is only the beginning. Recognizing them is powerful, and for some of you, just hearing this today will unlock something that has been stuck for a very long time. Sit with it. Sit with what surfaced. Let it breathe. But remember, the deep healing of the mother wound and the father wound, the actual guided generational repair, is not something we can complete over a podcast. That work asks for safety. And oftentimes, assessing your own sense of safety to do the real work that needs to be done is not as easy as it might sound. Again, because for many, the energy and vibration of safety is not necessarily standing at the front of the line. It wasn't cemented in their foundation, but it is necessary for your freedom and growth. This is the kind of work that is meant to be done in community, for presence, for someone to walk beside you as you go into the places those wounds live. So let me take a moment to say that is the work we do inside the Shadow and Lineage Healing Circle. It is where we take what these episodes awaken and we move it together. If you feel the call to go deeper than naming into true healing, the circle is open to you. You'll find the link in the show notes and in my bio. Okay, my soul family. Subscribe wherever you listen and share this episode with someone who has been carrying a mother wound or a father wound they have never had language for. Someone who has been blaming themselves or drowning in blame toward a parent without ever being shown the wider lineage the wound came from. Let them know they were not chosen by the wound to suffer. They were chosen by the lineage to heal. Once again, you showed up. That matters more than you know. May what was spoken today find the place in you that has been waiting to receive it. May it travel down past the mind, into the body, into the marrow, where the mother and father within still wait to be made whole. To every mother in your line who could not give what she was never given, and to every father in your line who could not show what was never shown, we widen the lens today with honesty and with grace. I am Afi G, and this has been What We Carry. Ashe.